A very good morning, students. Welcome to your Saturday class. Today we are going to start a very new chapter that is from our unit number 3, unit number 2 actually. We are going to start our chapter number 7, that is from our unit number 2, right? So I'm going to start this chapter with you, and after deletion of the syllabus, we have to discuss only animal tissues part in this chapter, right? For the examination purpose, but for NEET we have to discuss all the things. Structural organization in animals. What is our chapter's name? Structural organization in animals. A group of, actually first thing which when we talk about structure, then we always say that how animals are always a complex organism, we know that, right? So and when the complexity, multicellularity that comes into picture, then we always start or talk about the tissues, right? So if we have to define tissue in a simple manner, so how do we define tissue? That a group of cells, combine to perform a similar function, that is known as a tissue. And the study of tissues, it is known as histology, right? So group of cells, many cells perform similar function, that is known as tissue. So when these group of cells, they perform specific function, we call them as a tissue. And complex animals, because animals, they comes in the complex category, they have four basic type of tissues, right? And tissues further combine to form the organs. Now two or more organs, they combine, they interact and perform a common function, and together they form a system, organ system. This is how the structure complexity is developed. It starts from cells combine to form the tissues, then it moves to the organs, and organs finally they make up organ system, right? But the question then many times that strike in our mind, that why do we need cells, why do we need these tissues, why do we need organs and organ system? First thing, in the starting of this lecture, I just told you that we are multicellular complex organisms, right? It means there are lots of work which has to be done. So this work has been divided, which is called division of labor. So cells, tissues, organ and organ system, they divide the work within themselves, right? So to divide the work for the division of labor, basically this division of labor, this easy division, this easy distribution of work, it help in the survival of the body. That is why we need cells, we need different tissues, we need organs as well as the organ system. Now when we talk about specifically, because in this chapter we have to concentrate on animal tissues. So animal tissues, when we say, then these animal tissues, they are of four types basically. One is the epithelial tissue, second is connective tissue, third is muscular tissue, fourth is nervous tissue. This is the picture of your chapter, that what we have to discuss in this chapter. We have to discuss these four tissues in complete detail. Which one? Outer layer, outer tissue, that is the epithelial one, then connective, muscular and nervous tissue. Epithelial tissue is also known as epithelium. It is also known as epidermal, or it is known as epithelium. Now, where will you found, where will this tissue, you will get this tissue? It is found in the outer as well as in the inner lining of the tissue, inner lining of the internal organs, right? So it is the tissue which is found on the outer surface also, as well as towards the inner area also, like the skin. On the skin it is present in the outer surface. In, if we talk about the stomach, inner lining, we say inner lining of stomach, it is covered with the epithelial tissue. So outer lining, if it is found as the outer lining, then usually the function of outer side is the protective. Inner lining function is it help in secretion, absorption and digestion. So this epithelial tissue or the epithelial layer is can be outer lining also, or it can be inner lining also. The next tissue which connect different other tissues with each other, that is called connective tissue. Now connective tissue, if we have to understand it, then we have to understand its cells, because it is further classified ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ इट्स सेल्स इन द मैट्रिक्स. मैट्रिक्स बोलते हैं कि बेस, किसी बेस जिसके ऊपर बाकी चीज़ें कनेक्ट होती हैं. सो इफ़ द सेल्स they are very loosely arranged, if the cells they are very loosely present in a matrix, that connective tissue is called loose connective tissue. And in this loose connective tissue we have to discuss areolar and adipose tissue. But if the matrix layer is fibrous, fiber like, not very you can say very loosely type, fibrous type, this type of tissue is called fibrous connective tissue. In this tissue we will talk about tendons and ligaments, basically joint, when they join with bones and muscles. If the matrix or the cells of matrix they are fluid like, then that connective tissue is known as fluid connective tissue. The types which we have to discuss here is the blood and the lymph. If the matrix is compact, totally tight, that is known as compact connective tissue. And we will discuss here bone and cartilage. One more time we will see connective tissue is further classified depending on how the cells they are arranged in the base, in the matrix. If they are loosely arranged, we will discuss in areolar and adipose. If they are fibrous, we will discuss with tendons and ligaments. If they are fluid, water like, we will discuss in blood and lymph. If they are very tightly packed, then we will discuss in bone and cartilage. Then comes the muscular tissue, which is responsible for your movement, for your locomotion, and it is basically of three types: skeletal, smooth muscle and cardiac muscles, that we will discuss with the diagram. Then the last one in this chapter we have to discuss is the nervous tissue. All of you know now, because we have already finished our chapter neural control and coordination, and we know that nervous tissue is the highly specialized in our body, and it is responsible for conduction, for transmission of nerve impulses, and the cells which play a major role, that is the neurons. And the second type of other cells which play role, that is the glia cells. Glia cells is actually a glue like cells. Glue means they are holding neurons together, and they hold neurons plus blood vessels together. So these are two types which we will read in this nervous tissue: neurons as well as glia cells. So what we are going to discuss in this chapter, once again, that is the four basic type of animal tissues. That is the epithelial, which is also known as epidermal tissue, connective tissue, muscular tissue, as well as nervous tissue. The first, I'm just going to start with the basic introduction part of the epithelial tissue with you. I will not talk in detail today. I will just give you the basic characteristics, that how, what are the basic, characters of this tissue are. First thing, you know that it is the outermost layer, so it is known as epidermal tissue. The cells of this tissue, epithelial tissue, they are tightly packed. One major thing is the cells, they are compactly packed or arranged. देयर इज नो इंटरसेलर स्पेस, है ही नहीं है. स्पेस कैसे होगा? इंटरसेलर फ्लूइड होगा ही नहीं. जब स्पेस नहीं है तो इंटरसेल्स के बीच में भी ऑब्वियसली कोई फ्लूइड होगा नहीं. सो देयर इज नो और ऑलमोस्ट निग्लिजिबल इंटरसेलुलर फ्लूइड, एंड दिस इंटरसेलुलर, जिसको आप एक्स्ट्रा सेलुलर फ्लूइड भी बोलते हो. सो मैट्रिक्स विच इज प्रेजेंट बिटवीन द सेल्स इज कम्प्लीटली, तो जो बेस होता है बेसिकली, जो एक सेल्स के जिसके साथ अटैच्ड होते हैं, वो यहाँ पे एब्सेंट है, बिकॉज देयर इज नो स्पेस, राइट. सो मैट्रिक्स इज completely or almost absent. No intercellular fluid is observed. Cells are compactly packed. Now, how do cells look like? How do cells of epithelial tissue दिखेंगे कैसे आपको? अगर मैं आपको बोलूँ कि okay, I have put a slide under the microscope and you have to observe the top view. You will observe this kind of polyhedral type of cells, right? That you will observe that they are arranged like this. If we observe them, they're just from the top. But if we look from the side view, then they will be appeared as end to end. They appear as end to end attached and with the nucleus in each cell. And here one very important thing which we have to understand, that there is a membrane. All the epithelial cells, they are arranged on a membrane, and this membrane is called basement membrane. If you clearly see, I have not making any cellular structure of basement membrane, no, because basement membrane जो होती है, that is non-cellular layer. It is not having any cell. It is just a jelly-like material. जैसे आपका cytoplasm नज़र आता है, it is also a jelly-like structure. All the epithelial cells, they are arranged on this membrane, and this membrane is called basement membrane. This is the basic characteristic of the epithelial tissue. Now, as you can see, first thing, they are very tightly packed. There is no intercellular fluid. So as you can see this arrangement, because of this type of arrangement, ऐसे लगेगा कि फ्लोर पे टाइल्स आप अरेंज कर रहे हो. So this type of arrangement, like if it appear like कि tiles are fitted into each other very tightly. Due to this arrangement, that complete tight arrangement, compactly packed, जो epithelial tissue है, it is also known as pavement membrane. It is also known as pavement membrane. It has a the basement membrane. It has nucleus as well as end to end attachment, right? The another important characteristic of epithelial, it has free surface on the outer side as well as towards the inner side. If it is present on outer side like this, if cells are arranged on the outer surface, then still it will have free surface. If some suppose there it is present in the inner cavity, inner lining, it is a inner lining of any organ, then still it has a free surface. So it has free surface on both the sides, outer as well as towards the inner side. Epithelial tissue further to study divided into two categories: simple epithelium and compound epithelium. These two categories I will take in detail in the Monday's lecture, right? We will talk about in detail the structure as well as the complexity of the or the characteristics of simple as well as compound epithelium, and we will see that how these two epithelium they are different from each other. But till now we are very much clear that four types of tissues we have to discuss: epithelial, connective, muscular, nervous tissue, right? And epithelial has very basic characteristic that cells they are tightly packed and they are arranged on a membrane which is called, which membrane, what is the name of this membrane? This is called basement membrane. Or because of this tightly arrangement, epithelial tissue also known as pavement membrane also. So in my Monday's lecture I will take simple and the compound epithelium with you.